Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien and Bubba on this afternoon of May 15th, 2021, sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon. Stand by for a special commentary. Well, Americans, in the mid-1960s, Mr. Paul Harvey did a commentary entitled Hard Work. And I figured, since it's almost 60 years, I might as well redo the commentary in my way to honor him. And I'm going to try to paraphrase what he said in his original report. When he started, he said, "Well, Americans, I'm going out on a limb here, doing a special commentary on something that you will not listen. I wouldn't even get a single earful, I'm assuming. You do have a habit to hear politicians when they're stroking their stuff. You go over there in droves and hear them, whether you get special treatment or not. When you have people of the cloth, as in reverends, you go over there and hear them, whatever they're saying, and you don't pay any attention to anything else but them. Same when you have case out there. You go out there marching, and some of you don't even know what you're marching for. You just go because it's the way to go. But when somebody tells you that they're talking about something in a serious matter, as in hard work, oh, that's like a dirty word, isn't it? You won't listen to them. Well, Mr. Harvey, you were right. And then he went to say, and for you sons and daughters, at the time there was more sons than daughters, today it's about 50-50, I would say, that go to the military because the government is asking for your service and your life. And you hard-heartedly go and give your life. You don't know for what. You assume that the government's got your right, and your family's care in the right thing when they do this. And you give your life for something that you don't understand. Yes, Mr. Harvey, they've done that. A good example would be in the last years. When you wrote this, we were right into the Vietnam War. And as you know, when you died in 2009, 58,000 died that. Another 20 to 30,000 have died in subsequent conflicts after the Vietnam War. Even for that 20-year war that you guys had with Afghanistan, for whatever reason, nobody knows. And as you said in that program, yes, you give your life for something that you think the government has your interests at heart. Do they? And you even said that, do they? At the time, you said that the people were going on the right track. Well, they fooled you wrong, because 50 years later, they're way off that track. They're not on the right track anymore. But your commentary on hard work, and this is what I want to try to paraphrase and try to do it as best I can. Only you can do it 100% good. So, Mr. Harvey, with your blessing upstairs, here goes Hard Work 2021. Well, Americans, when Mr. Paul Harvey did this, he quoted and he said, paraphrasing here, everybody thought that this country was the Garden of Eden, and it was created out of the wilderness. It wasn't created out of the wilderness, and it wasn't the Garden of Eden. It was created out of sweat, and I don't mean the sweat that you get when you get in the hot sun and start sweating. I mean the sweat that you do when you clear off the land, when you put the land ready for farming, when you protect the land from insects like locusts, weather, Indians, cattle ranchers, and yourselves. A lot of people died doing that because they were fighting both the weather, the insects, the Indians, cattle ranchers, and themselves. I'm talking about the sod busters. And that's how Mr. Harvey referred to them, as sod busters. And the sweat that I'm speaking of, speaking in his terms, was not the sweat that comes off you when you're toiling at these, clearing the land and doing everything. The sweat is the tears and the sweat that pours off you into the land. What comes up of it? Skyscrapers. Because you set the way. You cleared the land and you cleared the way for the others to come and do this. But like in every civilization, there comes a time when people forget about the sweat that their ancestors did. And they're there for the taking. I want this because I'm entitled to this. And what Mr. Harvey was trying to say in Hard Work is you're entitled to nothing. You do what you think it's good for your society. Now today, a good example in America is you got people begging for jobs to take them. And people won't take them because they're getting paid by the government. And why should we go over there and toil when we are entitled to $300 to do nothing because the government's looking after us? Is it really looking after you people? Really? Has it been looking after you and your ancestors? No. Because there is no government and the people. You never developed what Mr. Harvey would call a compact between the government and the people. I would call it a prime directive. But Mr. Harvey would have called it a compact, like the Mayflower Compact. You developed the Constitution, and it was flawed from the start. And like Mr. Harvey says, if you start doing the hard sweat and tears, your society is doomed to failure, as the previous ones were. And there's a lot of examples on this planet of previous civilizations that you started, never finished. Mr. Harvey was saying that he doubted that anybody would have listened to his program in the mid-1960s because he was saying about hard work and hard determination. And I don't think anybody listened to it. They may have listened to his other programs, but this one, they passed it right by. It's like you put your nose in the air and it's a skunk going by. That's the way I assume of it, Mr. Harvey. Because I don't think that any Americans have listened to you since you did this program in the mid-1960s. And today they don't even know what the hell we're talking about. And you were aware of that when you made that program because you told them so. That you were aware that they were going to do this. They don't know what hard work and tears is. This society's doomed, Mr. Harvey, because they didn't listen to you. They won't listen to me. They won't listen to anybody who puts the right thing in there. They have created artificial stuff. They listen to a president who is creating fictional stuff to support his holding of a party in hostage. And the other president that took over the office is not any better either. You would have made a comment like that, but you know, companies like today, you got YouTube and you got Facebook, which is social media that you didn't understand in the 1960s. You understood a little bit of it in 2009 before you died, but it's bigger than when you died now. 11 years after that, oh, this thing has bloomed. And the people over there get censored because of the way that you were talking. And the other people don't understand. Hey, today we got a police problem here. We got a social problem here. We got a pigmentation problem here. And they don't understand about hard work and sweat to eliminate these problems. They want somebody to write a piece of paper and eliminate it. And you know that that's not the way it's done. It wasn't done in the old days, and it wasn't done in your time either. It is hard to tell these Americans today, Mr. Harvey, what you meant by the hard work and sweats of the sodbusters back in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. In the 1800s, they're the ones who blazed a trail, and people don't understand about the sodbusters. They think about the railroads. They think about the bankers, like at the J.P. Morgan, and the Union Pacific, and Wells Fargo, and other companies like that. And don't forget about Edison, and Andrew Carnegie. Those are the people that they look up to. Sure, they had an interest in getting things done, but the trailblazers were the sodbusters. Without them, there wouldn't be a trail to follow and to build on. They were the cornerstone of the American civilization, and they don't understand that, even today. I've asked for 25 people, just like in my society, Mr. Harvey, to sit down and iron out these problems and create a society that better works for the human race. Have I got any takers? No. Did you get any takers on your program there? Well, only you and your son, Mr. Paul Harvey Jr., can tell me. And I doubt if anybody ever wrote back to you and say, Mr. Harvey, I completely understand what you're saying about the hard work. I sincerely doubt that, Mr. Harvey. And if Mr. Paul Harvey Jr. is listening to me, did your dad get any response back from that? I doubt it. Will I get any response back from that? Well, I may get a response back from YouTube saying, oh, this is hateful. Yeah, I can understand that. Anyway, I'm trying to do your program and bring to the American people what you meant by hard work. That doesn't exist anymore, Mr. Harvey. It hasn't existed for the last 25 to 30 years. You were aware of it by the time your health was failing. And your comments that I knew back in the 1990s and early 2000s was trying to tell them that, but nobody listened to you. Which is a shame, really. Because this is a nice country. It still can be a pretty good country if it wants to, but does it? No. Because they want to be factions. They want to be pigmentations. They want to be politically this correct. And they want their own piece of the pie. But there is no piece of the pie. It's the whole pie or nothing. And they don't understand that. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon, this is your favorite alien and Bubba. Good day.